What if I told you that everything you've been searching for, every answer, every power, every transformation, has been encoded inside you since before you were born? Not in your mind, not in your beliefs, in your very DNA. Thoth, the ancient Egyptian keeper of cosmic knowledge, taught that the body is a living scripture, a sacred text written in a language older than any civilization. He understood that within the double helix of your being lies dormant potential so vast that most humans live and die never activating even a fraction of it. If this video has appeared before you right now, understand something. This is not random. This is not the algorithm. This is recognition. Your DNA is responding to its own frequency being spoken. You found this because something inside you, something ancient, is ready to wake up. What you're about to learn will fundamentally shift how you see yourself. Not as someone trying to manifest a better life, but as someone finally reading the instruction manual that was written into your cells before you took your first breath. If you feel the pull, if something in you knows this message was meant for you, comment below, I am awakening. Here's the fatal mistake almost everyone makes. They treat their body like a vehicle and their mind like the driver. They think consciousness lives in the brain, that transformation happens through thinking, and that the body is just along for the ride. This is catastrophically backwards. You've been taught to change your thoughts to change your reality. So you think positive. You visualize. You repeat affirmations until your jaw aches. And yet the same patterns keep repeating. The same limitations keep showing up. The same invisible ceiling keeps blocking your expansion. Why? Because you're trying to reprogram software while ignoring the hardware it runs on. Your DNA is not just a biological blueprint for your physical body. It's an antenna, a receiver, a storage device holding information that predates your current lifetime by thousands of generations. Every ancestor who ever lived, every triumph they achieved, every wisdom they earned, fragments of all of it are encoded in the very cells that make up your being right now. But here's the trap. Most of this code is dormant. Scientists call it junk DNA, the 97% of your genetic material they couldn't explain, so they dismissed it. They looked at the most sophisticated information system in the known universe and called most of it garbage. Thoth would have laughed. What modern science labeled as junk, the ancient mystery schools understood as the sleeping library of human potential. It's not inactive because it's useless. It's inactive because you haven't learned how to read it, how to activate it, how to speak to it in its native language. You want X, but your DNA is still running the code for Y. You want abundance, but your cellular memory is still broadcasting survival. You want love, but your genetic inheritance is still transmitting protection. You want expansion, but your biological programming is still executing contraction. The mirror of reality can only reflect what you're emitting, and you're emitting from a much deeper place than your conscious thoughts. You're broadcasting from your blood, from your bones, from the ancient codes coiled inside every cell of your body. This is why willpower fails. This is why positive thinking alone never produces lasting change. You cannot override millions of years of encoded programming with a few weeks of affirmations. But you can learn to speak the language your DNA actually responds to. Here's where it gets extraordinary. In 2012, the Encyclopedia of DNA Elements Project, ENCODE, made a discovery that should have rewritten every self-help book ever written. They found that the so-called junk DNA isn't junk at all. It's a massive regulatory system. It's the switches, the dimmers, the activation codes for your entire genetic expression. Your genes don't just sit there executing a fixed program. They respond. They listen. They change their expression based on signals from their environment. This is called epigenetics, epi meaning above the genes. And what the research reveals is staggering. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your state of being. These aren't just psychological experiences. They're biological signals. Their instructions being sent to your DNA every single moment. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research at Stanford led him to a radical conclusion that the cell membrane, not the nucleus, functions as the cell's true information processor. The membrane reads environmental signals and transmits instructions to the DNA about which genes to express. Your perception of your environment literally changes your biology. But here's the key that most people miss. The environment your cells are reading isn't just external. It's internal. Your emotional state, your mental frequency, your embodied sense of who you are. This is the primary environment your DNA responds to. The HeartMath Institute has measured this directly. When you enter a state of heart coherence, when your emotional state becomes ordered and harmonious, your heart produces an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. This field carries information. It carries frequency, and your DNA responds to it. What Thoth taught in the temple halls of ancient Egypt, what was inscribed on emerald tablets and whispered in mystery schools, science is now confirming with instruments and measurements. Your state of being is a biological command. Your frequency is genetic instruction. You are not a victim of your DNA. You are its author. The keeper of divine wisdom understood something that took science thousands of years to begin measuring. The body is not separate from consciousness. It is consciousness crystallized into form. Thoth taught that the human being is a microcosm, a complete reflection of the cosmos compressed into flesh and blood. The same patterns that govern the movements of stars govern the spiraling of your DNA. The same principles that organize galaxies organize your cells. This isn't poetry. This is architecture. The double helix of DNA mirrors the intertwined serpents on the caduceus, the ancient symbol of transformation and awakening. The 46 chromosomes correlate to the sacred numbers embedded in temple geometry across every ancient civilization. The 4 nucleotide bases of your genetic code, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, echo the 4 elements that the hermetic tradition taught compose all reality. The Kybalion states, as above, so below, as below, so above. Your DNA is where above meets below. It's where cosmic information becomes biological instruction. It's where the universe writes itself into matter. What the ancients knew, what Thoth recorded in teachings that have survived millennia, is that this code can be consciously activated. The dormant potential in your cells isn't waiting for external permission. It's waiting for internal recognition. It's waiting for you to remember who you actually are. So how do you speak to your DNA? How do you activate what has been sleeping? Not through thinking, through becoming. Your DNA doesn't understand English. It doesn't respond to sentences. It responds to frequency, to the coherent electromagnetic signals produced by your heart and nervous system when you enter specific states of being. There are 5 keys to awakening your genetic potential. The first key, coherent stillness. The activation begins in silence. Not the silence of an empty room, but the silence of a coherent system. When your heart rhythm becomes smooth and ordered, when the chaos of stress hormones and fragmented emotions settles into wave-like harmony, your DNA begins to unwind. Literally. Research has shown that emotional coherence causes the DNA helix to relax and lengthen, making more of its information accessible. Stress and fear cause it to tighten and compress, hiding its codes. Practice this. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly. 7 counts in, 4 counts hold, 8 counts out. As you breathe, bring to mind a genuine feeling of appreciation or care. Not a thought about appreciation, the actual feeling. Feel the warmth of it spreading through your chest. This is the signal your DNA recognizes. The second key, ancestral acknowledgement. You carry codes from every ancestor who ever lived in your lineage. Their victories and their wounds. Their wisdom and their limitations. Most people unconsciously run programs inherited from trauma and survival. Patterns that made sense for great-grandparents fleeing war or famine, but that sabotage you in the modern world. The key isn't to fight this inheritance. It's to acknowledge it with gratitude and then consciously choose what to amplify. Speak to your cells. I honor the survival codes that brought my lineage to this moment. I acknowledge the ancestors whose struggles live in my blood. And now I activate the codes of expansion. I call forward the dormant potential. I choose the patterns of creation. This isn't visualization. This is declaration. Your DNA responds to the authority of your conscious attention. The third key, embodied state. Here's what Thoth understood that modern manifestation teachers often miss. The body must participate. You cannot think your way to genetic activation while your body remains in the posture of defeat. Stand as the person whose DNA is fully activated would stand. Breathe as they would breathe. Let your spine lengthen. Let your shoulders open. Feel your feet connecting to the earth while your crown reaches towards sky. Your nervous system reads your posture and sends corresponding signals to your cells. A collapsed body broadcasts contraction. An open body broadcasts expansion. Your DNA is listening. If you feel warmth spreading through your chest, if you notice tingling in your hands or along your spine, this is the field activating. This is your cells responding to the coherent signal you're transmitting. The fourth key, frequency saturation. Activation isn't a one-time event. It's a saturation. You must hold the new frequency long enough for your DNA to recognize it as the new normal and begin expressing accordingly. This is why temporary motivation fades. You spike into a high state during a seminar or meditation, then return to baseline, and your DNA follows you back down. It needs consistency. It needs repetition, not of thoughts, of states. For 21 days, commit to entering heart coherence for at least 10 minutes upon waking and before sleep. These are the gateway moments when your DNA is most receptive, when the boundary between conscious and unconscious is thin. The fifth key, sacred silence. Do not speak of what is activating within you. Not yet. Premature expression disperses the energy before it has crystallized into form. The ancient schools understood this. Initiates were sworn to silence not as punishment, but as protection. Your DNA is reorganizing. New codes are coming online. This process requires energy. Every time you talk about it, analyze it, seek validation for it, you leak voltage. You interrupt the sacred process. Let the activation complete in silence. Reality will announce the results without any help from you. People will notice the change. Circumstances will shift. You don't need to explain it. You need to embody it. As these codes activate, something fundamental shifts. You stop being the person who hopes things will change. You stop being the seeker, always reaching for something outside yourself. You stop waiting for permission, for proof, for the right moment. You become the source. You are no longer someone trying to manifest a better life. You are someone whose very cells are broadcasting a new frequency, and reality has no choice but to reorganize itself in response. The mirror of existence can only reflect what you emit, and what you're emitting is no longer the old code, no longer the inherited limitations, no longer the programs of survival and scarcity that ran your lineage for generations. You become the pattern interrupt, the lineage breaker, the one who finally activates what has been sleeping for thousands of years. Physical changes begin to manifest. People will notice something different in your eyes, a depth, a presence, a certainty that wasn't there before. Your energy field expands. Situations that used to trigger you lose their charge. Opportunities begin appearing with an almost uncanny precision, as if reality is reading your new instructions and reorganizing itself to match. But the deepest shift is internal. The anxious searching stops. The desperate needing dissolves. In its place, a cool certainty, a knowing that has nothing to prove because its source is from somewhere deeper than thought. You don't want anymore. You reveal what you are. And what you are is ancient. What you are is powerful. What you are has been waiting for this moment of activation since before you were born. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is transforming at the cellular level. Here's what elevates this beyond personal transformation. When you activate your genetic potential, you don't just change yourself. You change the field. Your coherent electromagnetic signature radiates outward, influencing the DNA of everyone you encounter, without you saying a single word. Research has demonstrated that coherent heart fields can entrain nearby biological systems. Your activated state literally helps others access their own dormant codes. You become a transmission point for awakening. This is why the ancient masters taught in person. This is why presence in the mystery schools mattered more than information. The teaching wasn't just in the words. It was in the field generated by someone whose codes were already active. By healing the patterns in your own DNA, you heal your entire lineage, backward and forward through time. Epigenetic changes can be inherited. The children not yet born may carry the activated codes you awaken today. You become living proof that another way of being exists. Not through argument or persuasion, through embodiment. Your activated field helps raise the frequency of collective consciousness simply by existing. This is service at the deepest level. This is why your awakening isn't selfish, it's necessary. The collective need. If you've made it this far, understand, this wasn't entertainment. This was activation. Something in your cells recognized truth. Something ancient stirred. To seal what has begun awakening, comment below, "My codes are activating." If this transmission resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a message meant for you. The algorithm cannot hide what your DNA is meant to find. But understand, just watching to the end has already helped. Your attention is energy. Your presence here adds to the coherent field that makes this work reach others who are ready. If you can, share this video with someone whose cells are ready to remember. You'll know who they are. Something in you already recognizes them. The transmission is complete, but the activation is just beginning. Go now and embody what you've received. Practice the 5 keys. Enter coherence. Honor your ancestors. Claim your expansion. Saturate your cells with the new frequency. And protect the process with sacred silence. Your DNA has been waiting for this moment. The ancient codes are waking up. The universe is already responding.